Well, looking around for some of the power-ups that I'm still missing, I noticed that the Dynamite Body has one completely unannounced ability that is going to make this whole endeavor a lot easier. It shows you where invisible and breakable walls are, which, in addition to opening up rooms to the power-ups, it also shows you some of the fun shortcuts that you can use to get through some obnoxious rooms in the game. Not that I think that finding that one was all that useful, because I don't even know how many times I've gone through that room before, but dealing with a time switch is not that big of a deal anymore. You can also get to see what this post box is all about. It's nothing, apparently. It's just a background object. Unless there's some sort of, I don't know, Easter egg or something that I don't know about. You can get to it, which makes it seem like it should do something, but I don't know. Well, anyway, that one probably should have been pretty obvious, but there's a lot of things that, you know, if you're doing the classic Metroid style, rubbing yourself up against every single wall, you'll probably find pretty easily, but I just wasn't being that diligent, to be honest. Then again, some of these bunny dolls, on the other hand, are not obvious at all. And even then, that one is really hard to get to. I didn't end up getting that one just because it is a tough jump. And that one, I don't even know how you could possibly find it. Still have to switch back and forth between normal bunny form and the dynamite form because, well, the platforming is a lot more difficult with Dynamite Body Bunny. There's like nearly full yellow powder. I think I know where the last one is. It's in the Septentrion, but it's also I don't know. Getting full-on health was more important than time power, to be honest. Because time power does equate to health and everything, but in the middle of a boss fight, it's not going to be the most possible thing to do. Kind of interesting that they have a unique enemy here purely for getting a bunny doll, but, well, let's just say that they're going to become very useful very soon, so I'm glad that I'm getting a whole bunch of these things. Also, that might have been another soft block if I didn't get out of there before the timer just stopped. Because you can't stop time when there's one of those weird ghost guys with the clocks on screen. I have no idea what they are, but they seem to have only appeared twice in the game entirely, which is strange. There's a couple enemies like that. Those spike balls, for example, you also saw the dolphins. It's weird. Anyway, one more for maximum health, which I actually did get. It's but didn't record. It is in the Dark King's Lair area. More shortcuts, by the way. It's in the Dark King's Lair area, and you needed to kill all of the enemies in a room with one of the time gates in there. It's not obvious at all, but it's like you need to stop the Yukuris from spawning and then kill everything. It's weird. I don't know. I only figured it out because there was a place that denoted where a time switch was. And I'm like, well, that means there has to be some way to activate it, right? In the Septentrion for endgame, at least that's what I'm guessing, I required most of the upgrades and keys and whatnot that I've gotten throughout the game to get in here, so, or at least continue from the point that I left off. So I would guess this is probably the end? Who knows? Oh, and before I do anything else, I should probably switch to the Dynamite Body just because there could still be some more secrets around here. Probably just dolls, but I am still missing one of the time powers, which I guess I'd probably like. Time power does equate to health at this point in time. Also, just the ability to tank a couple more hits in this area I think is going to be helpful too. Not that at max health I'm too worried about that. And more platforming, which means also the Pumpkin King, exploding pumpkin guys, fun. I'm a big fan of those. Ah, there we are. Good and good. Wrong button. Okay, same thing here for secrets and also for survival. Nah. I see. can I just... No. Well, I ran out of time power anyway. I guess that might be like a secret or something, but who knows. Frankly, once again, I'm not going to worry too much about it, at least for the time being. Wait, I don't have time power right now, guys. What? Oh boy. I guess they didn't expect me to just... Well, I suppose I can go grind out stuff here. I don't know if that's really the best way to do this, but it does seem to be the only way I'm going to be able to do this. All right, cool. It's the return of hitting an orb for a million years again. Okay, that should probably be enough. Which means that you just gotta make the jumps. There, perfect. And I did remember to get back all the orbs again, because I knew this sort of thing was going to be happening. You're not fooling me here, game. Save again. No, there's one of these things again, which I guess is counting my deaths or something. Saves? Who knows? You know what? Sure. Spike shooter is... Or Silph shooter, I mean, still does do more damage with the dynamite outfit regardless and has a lot more range on it. So, what's going on? Oh. It's you. Hi. Yeah, are you Chelsea? Uh-huh. The real main character, hence why it's called Chelsea and the Seven Devils on the title screen? Is what you're saying? Is that the dumb joke? It doesn't really matter, really. 5? Yeah, 5. I was missing... Did you kill the... No, you... Okay, so you killed the one. Okay, I am just going to immediately switch to post-commentary for the winning run against Chelsea, the true protagonist of the game, because this is a fight. And although I did manage to get pretty far in my first attempt, I also ran into an issue where I wasn't really taking too much damage, but I also couldn't figure out how to actually attack Chelsea. So it was like 10 minutes of me getting increasingly frustrated that I didn't know what to do, which didn't make for great television. Well, anyway, the basics of the fight are that Chelsea has a bunch of different phases and a bunch of different health bars. Each one of those little markings at the end of her health bar represents a completely different set of attacks and also a completely new health bar, which is great. It's like this fight takes a while. Now, one of the good things, though, is that all the bunny dolls that you've been collecting through the game are really going to come in handy here because it does save your progress in between each one of the phases. So whenever you use a bunny doll, you'll still manage to be at like the Spriggan Hammer phase, or I think whatever you happen to end at. However, that doesn't necessarily make it any easier to fight her, because some of the phases are better dealt with some weapons versus others. For example, this one, melee weapons actually work really well, but for later ones, you need to use ranged weapons, otherwise it's extremely difficult to hit her. Thankfully, you already have an innate melee weapon in the form of your kick, which really does a number on her in the Spriggan Hammer phase. It is still a difficult thing, though, especially because the hammers will occasionally just create like invisible ceilings preventing you from jumping up on top of the platforms, which you might have seen a couple times over the course of that phase, which were basically require you to just run over to the opposite end of the arena to get up on there and actually be able to get some attacks. This one, if you get shot, you instantly die, and she's constantly throwing a bunch of projectiles at you, which do, you know, stun you and everything. This is a tough fight. But this phase especially is also really well countered by the spike hammer, because what you can do is you can do the whole like Pumpkin Alice thing, freeze the ball behind her, and then just have it pretty much hit her constantly, because she will not like run towards you, so it will never be able to like stop hitting her. However, what I'm doing is I'm just pretty much tanking my way through it and trying to avoid getting hit by the sniper bullets as much as possible, which did work, albeit after using a couple of the bunny dolls, so I guess that's fine. This one is pretty much a cooldown phase. You get time power, which does equate to healing from each time that you destroy one of her glowing orb dealies. The explosion of the glowing orb dealies does take out like half of my health, but it's also very easy to destroy those things, especially if you're in the Dynamite body form. Dynamite body form also just does take a lot less damage in general. So you can just heal up through the course of this one. It's really not a big deal at all, and I did take the opportunity to do that. This one, also very annoying, though. It's like, yeah, the previous phase, very easy with the Spike Hammer. This phase, very hard with the Spike Hammer. They just keep constantly bouncing off all of the glowing balls and then don't actually hit Chelsea. Which means... And also, using the Dynamite body, you throw in, like... If you throw upwards, you throw in, like, a V type of formation, which does not go immediately above you, making it even harder to hit her. So, you gotta switch back to normal bunny form, and that's just... annoying. So I could end this one a little bit faster. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting healed up immediately. I already blew through two dolls, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose immediately after this phase, which is the one I got stuck on. Also, I was in the first fight, I was here for a while because I was trying to heal up, and I also could not hit her because I was still using the Spike Hammer at the time. Yeah, it's, look, as we saw in the Jade Tower, some of the fights are more friendly to some weapons versus others. They get some good advice that I might have just been able to take out the Pumpkin King, King Pumpkish, I think his name was, by just stomping on his head, but, oh man, the control you have in midair, especially while stomping, is not always the easiest thing to make work. Using a lot of points where it's like I'm just trying to jump to a platform adjacent to me and I just fall right off into a bunch of spikes. It would be possible, probably a lot more possible now that I have the heals, but still not the easiest thing. All right, full health. She has one hit left. Here's where the problem comes in. Okay, so what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to slam down. Yeah, I know, it's like this is not clear at all, and then you're constantly taking damage on the ground. And if you're in Dynamite form, you actually destroy the swords without dealing damage to Chelsea, which means that, you know, you want to be in like your more powerful form, but then it's just like every time you seemingly do anything, she doesn't take any damage, and you take significantly reduced damage. It's all awful. And the exploding particles around here is not making anything easier either. That said, everything deals a relatively little amount of damage to you, except for Chelsea herself. So, if you know what you're doing, it's not bad, but it's still ridiculous that it's just like, yeah, you're supposed to pound in the swords. What, isn't that obvious? And if you're in the Dynamite body, it's like you don't... You just destroy them, and there's no indication of what you're supposed to do because just a new sword comes down immediately. And it's like, okay, so am I supposed to, like, destroy the sword so that the thing falls above her? No. Anyway, this is the point where it's just like, even if you did manage to get through here with like all of your with like a good melee weapon, the sword, the Faust Samurai works pretty well. Good luck trying to get it to work in this phase. She does not get any lower than this, and yeah, it's like you have to like make some really tricky wall jumps or something while she's shooting all these projectiles at you, going full Toho. So that's why I decided to take the Silk Shooter for this one, needless to say. It's... Everything else is at least possible to do with like a more or less melee weapon, but jeez. Hey, I finally got good at the block. It took until the final boss of the game, but here we are. Okay, so she gets her own time-stopping ability. Yeah, what I thought was like the game loading in stuff or like some sort of weird glitch or something. Nope, that was actually Chelsea using her own time-stop ability. That was not communicated very well in the game, I want to say. Well, anyway, she gets basically all of all of her attacks in this phase, but that means that she's not just constantly using her most powerful attacks, which makes it kind of easier. It's just, you know, it also does mean that you don't have nearly as many abilities to attack as you might want. Undine's Stream also has the ability to just completely stun lock you, which is a lot of fun. Spriggan Hammer has that thing too, which you can block the stuff there, but it's not easy. Time Stop ain't gonna help me here. The best idea would be to start to use the dash ability, dash into slowdown, but yeah, it's hard to also just even... I guess she doesn't get the Sherwood Sniper, which is probably a good thing now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, it's like the dash into slowdown, but dash into slowdown is hard to do. So close there too. It's hard to just dash in this fight entirely, considering the amount of attacks that you are being dealt right now. And especially after a phase where it's like gives you no opportunity to heal. It's like, yeah, already back here. Blew through 4 dolls already, although 2 of those were to instant kill attacks, which I feel like was kind of unfair. This is also the point in time where if I did get a dash off, I would probably rather try and go for, like, kicking her, because as you saw in the second phase, that does a lot of damage, which is pretty great. Yep, as you can see. Not easy to do at all, though. Shut up. I'm the winner. I beat the Bunny Must Die. Even though it's actually called Chelsea and the Seven Devils, as we've established. Take your big puffy pants and go somewhere else. So yeah, I can't leave from the room. Can continue to attack Chelsea, which I did because this fight took a really long time. Yep. Yep. There's no point in doing this as far as I know. Catharsis, I suppose. But, yeah, no saving. So, what's next? Oh, it's the Divine Messenger person. The portly Divine Messenger. Great. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the entire thing that we were supposed to do here. Oh, no. This is... I can't believe this game has a plot. Yo, do you know that Bunny Must Die has a plot? I think that probably came as a surprise to anybody that got to this point. Well, then. Yeah. This game is so stupid. Well... yeah. Also didn't get rid of the cat ears either. At least not yet, I suppose. So, yeah, you remember the ability Alternative that I got way back, like after getting a bunch of the time upgrades? Well, there you go. We go. It resets the timeline to make it the actual game, Chelsea and the Seven Devils. Which, by the way, I can play right now. That's right, I unlocked Chelsea and the Seven Devils, the real game. The actual video game that this is. Where you play as Chelsea. Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. Now, I'm not going to. Look, this series says Bunny Must Die. I beat Bunny Must Die. But the actual real game, Chelsea and the Seven Devils, is available for me to play now.